Hey. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the weekly Pet Roundup. It is myself, Isabel Alvarez-Rada, and Jessica Fisher, and we are here to talk about canine cancer awareness. And
Yes.
I'm pretty much going to let our friend here, Jessica, lead this conversation because she is a canine nutrition expert. And for me, making the body inhospitable to cancer is a really great way to prevent cancer. Prevent it while it is often genetic and out of our hands. You cannot ever feel guilty if you do find your pet with a diagnosis. It is really nice to kind of learn how we can reduce their risk, right? So, Jessica,
Yeah.
take it away.
Take it away. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, well, it's funny that you say that because I was listening to Dr. Kendra Pope, who is one of like the very, very few veterinary oncologists in the United States. We need a lot more of her. I wish she were cloned many, many times. Not like in a multiplicity way where she gets dumber every time, but like where she stays the same every time. I love that movie with I like Michael Keaton. So, anyway, she was saying that I wrote down a quote. She said, "Every day is an opportunity to kill cancer, and we already have the cure for cancer, which is to not let it proliferate in our bodies to begin with." Um, so, just to kind of start out a little bit, um, one of the things that I think we realize in the holistic community or the functional medicine, whatever you want to call it, like the healthy pet community, the majority of people do not realize this because it's not what mainstream media is telling us. It's not where the funding dollars for studies are going. In fact, the majority of um, funding for studies is going towards genetic, like all of the genetic aspects of cancer. But what we actually know, and what I think we do really well in like the healthy pet space, is that we understand that 90, somewhere between 90 and 95%, this came from Dr. Kendra Pope, somewhere between 90 and 95% of cancers are actually lifestyle related, not genetic. So that's a big thing to unpack, right? Like it's
Wow.
a big thing to
That's way
unpack.
higher than I thought, for real, for sure. And
Yeah,
that's for animals,
and
humans.
all of well, I think we can when we really look at it, well, we have thought for a very long time that what happens to our dogs specifically mirrors what's happening to humans as far as like medicine is concerned. And one of the things that Dr. Kendra Pope, says is that they actually so there was a very very wealthy lady whose dog had cancer, and she was trying to figure out what happened. And because she was so wealthy, she started doing all the research as to like, okay, what do we know about cancer? What are all the studies telling us? And she ended up funding her own research, which obviously the medical community doesn't acknowledge because she's just a person. But what she found was that because in veterinary medicine, cancer is not a reportable condition. So, like with humans, because of our healthcare system, or our sick care system, as I prefer to call it, there's a lot of reporting going on, right? When you're seeing your doctor, when you go into the hospital, whatever, it's being reported, whether that is through, NIH, CDC, just the data that insurance companies have, because literally, like, they hand you an aspirin and it's coded,
Yeah.
right? So everything is reportable in human medicine, not so much in veterinary medicine. So what she found, what this very, very wealthy lady found in her study, is that the instance of cancer in dogs is up to 5 times higher than what we see in human trends. So, but it's not reported. It's not reportable. So there is no system for tracking it. We've just always gone with the it tracks what's going on with humans is tracking with dogs. And I would venture to say that cats are not too far behind that, um, especially today's indoor domestic cat, right? Um, but sadly, most of the research is in the genetic function of cancer. And I think part of that is because, well, I love conspiracies. I love
She
me
does.
some
She does.
conspiracies.
She does.
Um, the way I see it, and we can talk about humans, we can talk about pets. I think the the veterinary sick care system very much has almost completely caught up with the human sick care system, where everything is checkbox medicine. Everything is um, take a pill. This crappy food that I'm handing you that they can't even explain what in that food is for that condition. All the things like it's bad. And the reality is, and I think there's a larger number of humans waking up to the fact that our food system and our pharma, pharmaceutical system, they kind of work hand in hand. The pharmaceutical system, certainly they do not profit. Even our quote unquote healthcare system, they don't profit unless we're sick, right? There's no money to be made if we're actually healthy. So feeding foods that keep us chronically ill, giving us pills for every symptom that, by the way, now we have new symptoms because of those pills and we need to take more pills. Like, this is very, in my opinion, intentional. I don't think it ever started out as like we want our population to be sick. I don't think that's the goal. I don't think that's like how people rationalize it, as like we don't want people to be healthy, but I think they rationalize it as we got to make more money quarter after quarter. Our profits have to increase quarter over quarter, and this is how we get there. And so when we look at and say that genetics are what fuels obesity, genetics are what fuels cancer, genetics are what fuels whatever it is you're talking about, you take the blame and the responsibility off of the individual. And so you just throw up your hands, right? It's all genetic. There's nothing I can do about it. So we throw money and throw money and throw money at studying the genetics of it, when that's such a small percentage, what, 5 to 10%, according to Dr. Kendra Pope. And it's such a small percentage, but that's where we're throwing all of our money, because that's where we want people to pay attention to, because then they just throw up their hands and they accept what's going on. At least
Yeah.
that's what I think.
I mean, there's no money in letting your grass grow all the weeds at once, right? There's
Right.
no money
Yeah.
in like just
Yeah. Well,
putting
what is
like
a weed,
like
right? What is a
exactly.
weed? Like, you've got a field of dandelions and a rose is growing, that's a weed,
There's
right?
no
Like,
money in us living like wild lives,
yeah.
right? Like that's why we're all so domesticated. Not just our pets, but us. If dogs lived like natural, they would, they would come into their issues, right? They would die of other things. They would die of injuries and illnesses that, are not possible to, not treated when you're in the wild, right? Like that's
Yeah.
what would happen to us. I know that in Ecuador there are many tribes, that like they have like 20 children, and like not all of them survive the wilderness, right? Unfortunately. So that's the alternative. But like we have gotten so far away from nature and so far away from like a healthy, balanced lifestyle
Yeah.
that we ourselves and our pets were putting convenience and aesthetics over health
Mm-hmm.
every single day. Every single day. Like we bring in those new couches because we hate the old couch.
Yeah.
And like what is it doing? It's just off gassing for
Yep.
months, if not years. We get new flooring because we think the carpeting is terrible, which is, but then we come in to all the VOCs that come from that flooring where we were trying to avoid the molds and the mildews in the carpeting. So it's like
just the way we live is so almost conducive to
Yeah.
environmental risks,
Yeah.
right? Just because, like, we can't paint a wall without some exposure. Even if you pay for the extra good paint, you're still being exposed to who knows what,
Can I
right?
can I go down a rabbit hole real quick? Just like a
Oh my God,
tangent.
please. I love
Okay.
it. Yes.
You said paint a wall. And I saw something the other day and I was like, holy moly. I didn't say moly. Um, and this is just a theory, but oh my gosh, it makes so much sense. So in the 70s, I believe it was the 70s, they outlawed lead in our paint,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Based on what? Apparently, children are chipping paint. They're just actively over there chipping paint off of the wall or windowsills or whatever and eating it. Like, this is happening a lot, apparently. I don't believe that, but okay. And it's obviously that's a heavy metal. We don't want it in our systems. But this is when we started. They started with all of the research into internet, cell phones. We've got all this electromagnetic frequency going on around us constantly 24/7. Guess what blocks that? Lead. So now we don't have anything in our homes to protect us from what's going on around us.
Well, actually, EMFs are a very big, serious concern for me
Yeah.
because we have a very smart house, right?
Yeah.
Like we have all sorts of smart things in our house. I mean, it's not like a fancy smart house. Like I wish I could just like say, please open the blinds and the blinds would go up. It's not that smart.
Yeah.
But we have like the Google Homes and the Alexas and the um Nest thermostats and all
Yeah.
that stuff, right? We have,
Yeah.
if you can automate it, we've done that. If we can add an app to any kind of household thing, we've done it, except for like an Alexa like fridge, which would be awesome, but I don't have. And we also have solar panels and solar panels that connect to an app. And while we're obviously doing a good thing for the environment, and it was very financial, it was a smart thing for us because we were able to pay them off right away and get like this big tax credit, and we are saving a lot of money. I'm like, I have added so many EMFs 24/7 to this home. And sometimes I wonder if even if I lived like the perfect lifestyle, even if I ate perfectly, slept my exact number of hours, used my sleep thing to like not mouth breathe, exercise the exact amount of time that I need to exercise, perfectly, managed my cleaning processes and everything. Even if I did it all right, all these EMFs
Yeah.
are so bad for us. And sure, I have like black tourmaline all over the house. I can show you what it looks like. Where is it? I have one somewhere around here. Well, sorry guys. I have these little chunks of rock. I have a really big one. Oh,
Yeah.
here's one. So I have this.
Yeah.
So I have pretty big chunks. I mean, this is expensive. It's not cheap
Yeah,
to
no.
buy.
No, it's not.
But like, how much is this really doing? And like, how, if we're sensitive, can you imagine our pets? Like, EMFs have been shown to disrupt sleep patterns, which obviously, if you're not sleeping, you're not healing. We're talking about the paint on the walls. We're talking about the EMFs. We're talking about the new sofa, or even new, like 10 years old, is still off-gassing
Yeah.
every time you sit down on it.
Yeah.
Whoosh, out come the VOCs. Like, Jessica, how can we do better? Like, where can we start to at least,
Yeah.
we're never going to be perfect. We're never going to fix this. A lot of this is out of our control. How can we make prevention a priority in like small bite-sized pieces?
We're never going to be perfect. You're so right about that. Because like I have so many of those same things going on, and I would love to be able to just turn my Wi-Fi off when I'm not using it, but I'm literally using it 24 hours a day because even when I'm sleeping, that's what my alarm system is connected to, right? So I can't, like, I get it.
Ding,
like,
ding,
there are so
ding,
many things.
ding. We used to disconnect it.
Mm-hmm.
But when everything turned into a Wi-Fi situation, there's no more disconnecting it. Because now our security cameras are recording.
And even if I wasn't so concerned with, and I probably don't have that much to be concerned with as far as like my security system where I live. That's just me being kind of the paranoid person that I am.
Same.
But we happen to live in an area where our cell phone service is legit. We can't use our phones unless it's connected to Wi-Fi. So even if I had an emergency, my phone has to be connected to Wi-Fi or I can't use it if I'm in my home. So I get that. And I think it can, when we look at it that way, when we look at it as there are so many things, I could never be perfect, then that gets so overwhelming that we don't do anything. And so I think the first step is to do whatever works best for you to reduce the overwhelm, and understanding that making one small change at a time is very beneficial. And if I can start with anything at all, the number one thing I want to start with is food, because that's literally what builds our cells every single day. So we can set our bodies up to be able to handle and manage these things better if we are providing our bodies, our dogs' bodies, our cats' bodies with the appropriate foods. And we can be very intentional, not just, and I can sit here and say a species appropriate food. Yes, that's wonderful. But also being very intentional about seasonality of what we're feeding, being very intentional about, using herbs as part of our toppers so that our bodies can naturally detox better. And I say that not just for our pets, but like for me too, because I literally just got another message from Michelle Thomas yesterday, who's Magical Nuts Michelle. And she's been connecting with my cats, and she's like, okay, your cats know that you have this block about these herbs that you need to be consuming. You need to be ingesting these herbs. What can we do to get these herbs in your body? So this is for me too, because the simplest things like a cilantro or a parsley can do wonders for your body in helping it detox. So yeah, I see somebody in the chat on YouTube is talking about cannabis and cannabinoids, and you're 100% correct. I think every mammal should be on a full spectrum hemp extract, but that's extra. That's added. Like, we got to get the food right first. We cannot expect any supplementation that we're taking to work to its fullest potential if we got a crappy diet that we're starting off with. So that is my number one thing. And if you pay attention to nothing else, get the food right.
Well, 420 Growers says diet is huge along with treated city water. Tell me about your thoughts on that.
Yeah.
City water. The water that we feed or that we offer our pets.
Yeah. The water that is pumped into our homes, I don't care where you live, in my opinion, don't drink it.
Yeah.
I use it to shower. I use it to, I have a whole house filter, but it doesn't filter out all of the things that I wish it filtered out. I certainly will not drink it, and I will not give it to my pets if for no other reason than it has fluoride in it. Hopefully we will get that fixed come next year. But who knows how quickly any of this will be instituted. It is a neurotoxin. It can, it does go through, it can penetrate the blood-brain barrier. It calcifies the pineal gland. It is not good. In fact, they say that it's so good for your teeth, blah, blah, blah. The studies on that are pretty darn limited. So the benefit that it could have for your teeth, we have other things that are great for your teeth, and we don't need to use fluoride. And what's funny is I again, going back to Michelle, thinking about all of these things. What?
Sorry, I think I interrupted that conversation. Sorry. My apologies.
Oh, no, you're good. It's like she was telling me that in a past life I had a vaccine injury, and that's why I'm so adamant against vaccines.
Who knows?
And I know, yeah. And I think I possibly.
I love Michelle. I think she's fantastic. So you know.
I
I need
think
to go
I
to.
possibly knew about fluoride in another lifetime as well, because even when I was a kid, like little kid, I bargained with my dental technicians to not give me fluoride. Like, I did not want fluoride treatments as a child, and I had no reasoning for it. I had no um, like frame of reference for this. I just knew I didn't want that.
Right. Right.
Um, and now I know why, right? But yeah, I would not give tap water to myself, to children, to pets, to anyone. In fact, I take my own water to restaurants. I don't want to drink, I don't know what's going on with their water. Maybe it's filtered, maybe it's not. Even so, I don't want their ice, because even if they clean like the bin that the ice is in their ice machines, are they getting all up in the machinery of the equipment where mold is known to grow? I don't do any of that. I'm going to bring my own. And so yeah, there's a lot that we can do, and we can talk more about other things we can do. Again, I want to start with food, because if we're fueling the body properly, then our body is more well equipped to deal with things that it comes in contact with on a daily basis.
For those of us that have reverse osmosis water filters, better?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I like reverse osmosis. I think there's a lot of talk right now about like hydrogen water or structured water, and that's even better. I don't even do that. I can get really woo-woo and tell you to speak into your water, right? Like, that's speak your intentions into your water about being healthy, about I add minerals back into my water, into my pet's water, because what I give is dead water, and I want my pets to have and myself to have like actual nutrients, so that I am actually hydrating my body, and not just flushing out all the electrolytes and everything.
Yeah.
Um, I don't add any additional salt to my pet's food or anything like that, but I do take Celtic salt like under the tongue, because I think that improves hydration. And yeah, there's so much. There's stress that we can talk about. There's a lot of toxins, which you've already brought up some of them. The neurotoxins in the parasiticides, the heavy metals in the vaccines. Like, I'm not, again, and I know we've talked about this a lot, I'm not anti-vaccine, I'm anti-over vaccination.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are things that we can do to mitigate the potential risks of the vaccines that we do have to give to puppies and kittens. And some of those, like rabies, for example, is an absolutely horrific thing for an animal to have to suffer with. So again, I'm not anti, I just don't want to overdo it, because once we get to the point of uh, memory cells and an immune response, we're not doing any good with continuing to vaccinate. We're only going to see the negative from it. Like, there isn't any more good we can do. The body is already responding and saying, I know how to kill this now. Like, we're not going to amp that up at all. We're just going to see the negative side effects from the heavy metals, or from any sort of vaccinosis from that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so food, water, environment.
Food, water,
right?
environment. Yep. So don't treat your lawn. And we just found out that, yep, they banned glyphosate in Roundup that you can buy as an individual. I believe, I would have to double check this, but I believe commercial applications, they can still use glyphosate. It's just what you buy like at Home Depot. Personally, they have removed, or in the process of removing, glyphosate from that. However, we just found out they have a combination of 4 other chemicals that are 45 times more toxic than glyphosate, that they have replaced glyphosate with. So don't use that stuff. Use natural stuff. Neem oil, or if you have like rocks and you need to spray your rocks, guess what? Nothing can grow in salt. How about we just put salt water down? Like, we don't have to do all of these chemicals. Um, so there are lots of things that we can do. It may take a little bit more, it may take a little bit longer, it may take a little bit more effort on your part, but would you rather put a little bit more effort in and maybe not develop cancer?
Yeah, I
Maybe your dog doesn't develop cancer. Like,
I just pull the weeds from like rocks and walkways and stuff, and I just let the weeds live in my grass. I
yeah.
mean, I don't, I know that there are people who, and I think it's of different generations. Like, I feel like from like 45 down, we're not that concerned about our lawns. And I think that in 40 years, maybe we will be. But for now, I feel like we're just kind of more concerned about like paying our bills and eating to
Yeah.
not kill ourselves
Yeah.
with cancers from our foods. Um, but I feel like um, those people that are concerned about their lawn are probably the higher risk for getting cancer. Like
Yeah.
if you're retired and you are working on your lawn, I mean, that's wonderful. That's a great thing to do. Gardening is so good for you in so many ways. It's got many of the same benefits that you get from pet ownership.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, bravo, garden. But when you're adding these toxins, you're not only harming yourself, you're harming your pets that live on that soil. They have four paws on that soil. They're eating some of that grass. You know, if they're feeling their stomach's upset, or, you know, when they're nervous, a lot of dogs eat grass for many, many different reasons. And whenever they're eating it, they're taking that in. Even though we see the people spraying it, like the commercial applications, you see them wearing
Yeah.
masks and they look like they're like, you know, astronauts. And we think that because it's dry they can eat it. Obviously it's dry on the grass and they're ingesting that, and whatever it is that's being sprayed is no less dangerous just because now it's dried. The thing about it being dry is that it's probably not going to come off on your skin so much if you're just walking. It's not going to, you know, like if your kids are playing outside, it might not get onto them, but anything that's being ingested is on it and it's dangerous. So if you have a pet that eats grass, it's even more dangerous. And it's not just the grass. There's stuff with like in your soil that you can buy that's super toxic.
Yeah.
A lot of the soil we buy is full of all sorts of disgusting, dangerous things, especially for our pets. So being really cognizant of like that gardening and just like chilling out, let like nature kind of thrive in your yard. Like stop with like with the weeds and like worrying about them. I have some weeds that like hurt, literally hurt on our feet. We're in the desert. We just wear shoes outside. Crocs are great and they're not that expensive. Invest in a pair of Crocs. Wear your Crocs outside. Take your Crocs off when you want to ground yourself in a place where you know you have like nice sand or something, and stop with the nonsense. Like I remember writing a column for the Alexandria Times ages ago where I talked about like these people who were like obsessed with like not letting the neighbor dog like pee on their lawn. Like
Yeah.
your lawns are not more important than people's health,
Yeah.
than people's pets, and people's ability to walk around your neighborhood. Like I'm all for you obviously putting signs up that say please clean up after your dog, because there's too many rude people out there who don't clean up, and that not cleaning up is another environmental risk factor for all of us, because
Yeah.
that poop goes into our waterways. It doesn't just disintegrate. It's not fertilizer. That's
Well,
a
and
conversation for another day.
I know people don't want to hear this, but especially if a dog is eating kibble, their poop is so much more toxic. There is so much more likelihood of pathogenic bacteria that your kid can get, that your dog can get, that whatever, like you, yeah, there's so much more potential for that. I also have to say I cannot condone the Crocs. I am not a Crocs person, but that's okay. That is okay.
I, as a mom, I have an appreciation for Crocs like nobody's business. My kids are not allowed to wear Crocs to school.
Okay,
They
but
have
at home,
PE, right? So they need to wear like sneakers. They have PE every day. But they are, my husband has a saying where it's crock up, crock up. And the second that he says crock up, everybody puts their shoes on, and it's 2 seconds. There's no socks. There's no drama. There's no shoelaces. I love
yeah,
them. And as a Disney goer, Crocs are the perfect Disney
Are
shoe. They really are,
they?
especially South Florida or Central Florida where it rains a lot. They dry out really quickly. Nope, they're usually if you get the right size, don't have any break-in period. You can wear them with socks, but please don't unless it's chilly out because I feel like that's pushing it for me. They do get hot in the summer on the pavement, so maybe not the best choice for like the 100-degree days in Disney, but every other day, like we wore them. We all bought new Crocs for the Hurricane Disney trip
Oh,
because there was
wow.
no other way we were going to stay dry.
Yeah.
And so Crocs have their place, especially for gardening. I think that they're perfect. Don't you can hose them down, dry them off, beautiful. So stop putting glyphosate everywhere. Stop spraying things in your yard. We actually spray for mosquitoes and I hate it, but my son and I are super highly allergic to mosquito bites. And because we live in the desert and everybody has like rocks and we have grass and two large trees, we bring all the mosquitoes to the yard.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're like, oh, it's actually habitable here.
Yeah, exactly. So we need to not let them live here. And like what we use is we tried the natural stuff. It does not work. We still had a ton of mosquitoes. We were still paying $80 every 3 weeks for that. And obviously we have to do what we have to do to keep ourselves safe. And mosquitoes are really dangerous, especially where we're on the border with Mexico. There's still dengue around. So like mosquitoes are a threat to us. So when it comes down to like mosquito bites versus the risk of exposure, I have to do the lesser of the two evils, even though I recognize that they're both evil. And having our yard sprayed is a game changer for us in the fact that we can enjoy our yard. I am so susceptible to mosquito bites. They love me. And when I get them, I have high histamine response. So does my son, like swelling, itching, just like overall malaise. So if you can avoid things, avoid them. And if you can't, then always like I always feel like supplementing the risks with like better things like food. Like if I am inevitably exposing my kids to a toxin, then I need to really be aware of what they're eating. And even though it's so hard to get children to eat good things, we cook at home for the most part during the week, at least, trying to give them wholesome foods, trying to give them fresh foods, buying organic when we can, following the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15 lists every time they come out. And if you're not familiar, where have you been?
Yeah.
But also they're on the EWG website, Environmental Working Group. That's what they're known for. So many things. I love the EWG. They're the reason we don't use plugins in the house. Like in 2010 or 12, I think is when I first found out that like plugins are so toxic. And I'm shocked that people are still plugging things into their walls that smell good,
I know.
knowing how toxic these things are. So I think that we've talked about the outside environment. Let's bring it inside. Let's talk about those plugins. Let's talk about cleaning products. And let's talk about laundry detergents and stuff, because those are all really big risk factors for the whole family.
They are. And just because this overlaps, you were talking about in the yard and ingesting things. When your dog or your cat gets something on their paw pads, you might as well consider it ingested because they're going to uptake that through their paw pads in a very similar fashion as to if you had given it to them orally. So not exactly, but close enough that for the layperson, you might as well just assume it's ingested.
Agreed. I love
So
that. I love that. That's a really good reminder. If it's on the paw pads, it might as well have been ingested for sure.
yes. And so you do want to, I mean, one thing at a time, again, like you don't have to do everything all at once. But yes, swap out your, I started with, because I used to use the dryer sheets. They're not only negatively affecting our health, but they're negatively affecting the environment. So I stopped using those. I use just white vinegar in both my wash cycle and my rinse cycle. And I use wool dryer balls in my dryer. And then moving ahead to laundry detergent, there are clean alternatives to laundry detergent. Depending on the load of clothes that I'm doing, oftentimes all I use is white vinegar. If I need something more, then yes, there are like cleaner, toxin-free brands out there, they cost a little bit more, but I also don't use them as often. So like it kind of works out. Um, Absolutely. Like we need to, no plugins, be very, very careful with candles. I basically stopped candles years ago, and now I'm only bringing them back in with companies that I know and trust that they're not toxic.
Kira
Um,
literally looked back at me and went down the stairs because she knows I don't want her barking. I'm gonna just close my door.
you're good. You're good. Um, so yeah, anything that is putting anything into the air. Our air quality indoors is so much worse than our air quality outdoors. So open up your windows whenever you can. Obviously, you need to be aware of what's around you. Like if you live right next to a golf course, that may not be the best thing. You may not actually want to live right next to a golf course, or you live right next to a farm that is
Working
using
farm, yeah.
yeah, like not a regenerative farm, but
Yeah.
like an actual junk farm.
Industrial.
Yeah, industrial.
Yeah.
That's the word I'm looking for. Like then you need to be a bit more aware of what's going on around you. But for most of us, opening up your windows is actually really, really beneficial. We're gonna
Even in
basically,
Texas with all the what is it, refineries that we have here?
I mean, if I live right next to one, I probably wouldn't. I probably
Yeah,
wouldn't live right next to one, but
exactly.
like where I live,
If you can
I don't
help
live
it,
next to it.
yes.
Yeah, I happen to live. I mean, I live in hill country, so we actually have like breezes pretty much every day, and
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's fairly
I live
like
on the
it's.
west side of El Paso. El Paso, actually, you cannot tell by living here because it's always seems so nice, but we have pretty polluted air.
Mm,
And it's one of the reasons why I use air purifiers around my house because on top of the off-gassing of I'll go back to the first things we said, like wool dryer balls, yes. My husband insists on using dryer sheets. So he's found like the healthier ones on Grove, Collective, or like on Thrive Market, where like they do a better job of like vetting these things.
mhm,
I don't use them. We use unscented everything. So unscented dish soap, unscented laundry soap. We don't use anything with plastics. Like for our dishwasher, we
mhm,
use like the most natural option we can get. We get it from Grove Collective. We don't use the plastic dishwasher pods. Those
mhm,
leave microplastics everywhere. They're bad for the environment, for your family. We use everything unscented. We try to use the most gentle stuff. Even if I have to like pre-rinse a little more, the rinses from your dishwasher, super toxic as well. Like all those things are really toxic. So we try really hard to buy the right products. When we buy shampoos, conditioners, things like that, we look at the labels, make sure that they're the least, like they do what we need. Like for me, like my husband, I don't know, he loves his like manscaping stuff. Like he spends money on like his beard products and his bald head products and stuff. It's so funny, but I think he makes good choices because he buys like high quality stuff. But for my kids, for example, like that usually falls on me. So like
mhm.
toothpaste, shampoo, conditioner, things like that. I love California Baby. That's what have always used for my lotions and stuff, and that's what I use for me because I started using it for my kids and we kept it on auto ship and that's all I use for my skin. California Baby is so like they make everything with like their own grown calendula. They're so good, high quality stuff. But then there are stuff that you can't control, right? Like
Yeah.
I when I buy a rug, I try to buy one that's high quality, doesn't have a ton of VOCs. Like there are things that you can find out there that are very safe, but they're also very expensive, right? Like
Yep.
once you start going to some away from like Wayfair, which is all made in China, total VOCs. Like I have a friend who like ordered a bed and like the room smelled
Yeah.
forever. And the problem with VOCs is you don't always smell them, but in this case,
Yeah.
it was off-gassing the stuff you can't smell and whatever you could smell.
Mhm.
So when you stop buying stuff that's generally available to the general public and you start going down rabbit holes and being like, what rug can I buy? And I did this when my son was young because I was way more like controlling about like our environment then because he was a baby and he had a high risk birth. Like his birth turned into a high risk situation, so I wanted to do as best I could for him. And I remember buying a really beautiful rug for my mom's house in Miami because we were moving there while my husband was deployed. And like it was so expensive. And you know that rug didn't make it. Like he's 7 years old. He was one when we bought it, and it was a disaster. Now that we basically just got rid of it. So
Yeah.
it only lasted 6 years. It was very expensive. So like most consumers are not going out and buying that because of the investment price and the fact that it won't last long. I'm happy to buy something that's expensive. It's going to last me 10 years. But this did not last. Like it was falling apart and fraying at the edges because it was made with all these, natural materials and blah, 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 which is great. So it's hard to find the stuff we need to find to make our home more like safe, our indoor homes more safe. I like the stuff you can wash because I do feel like as you wash it, stuff gets less toxic, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
just like if you buy clothing, like the first time you wear it, it's going to be a lot more toxic than the 20th time you wear it, which is a reason why so many people buy secondhand. It's actually a really good strategy for keeping VOCs low in your house is to buy your clothes secondhand. But when it comes to like the general stuff, you cannot really prevent it. You need a curtain that's gonna off gas.
Yeah.
You need a desk, it's gonna off gas.
Yeah.
You buy a fake plant, it's probably off gassing.
Mm-hmm.
So buying real plants helps neutralize
Mm-hmm.
the air in your environment. So like
Yep.
get those peace lilies and get those things that clean your air, pothos and I mean, some are better known for cleaning the environment, aloe and stuff. Some of them are toxic to cats, so don't get all of the ones I'm just listing off if you have a cat. But um, any plant, any green is going to improve your environment. So just that. And then also air, like for me, it's the very high quality air purifiers. I'm not talking about the stuff you buy at Target because I've tried those and I didn't feel like they made a difference. I found Air Doctor through my biological dentist who does a lot of sleep stuff. So for her, sleep hygiene is super important.
Mm-hmm.
Sleep hygiene is not just a human thing. Sleep hygiene is for all of us. That bed your pet sleeps in could be super toxic. The floor that they're sleeping in, that rug that they're lying on, like all that affects what they're breathing in and affects how they're sleeping. So she recommended for our whole family the Air Doctor. She had another brand that I can't remember. Air Doctor has been fantastic. I love that they have like multiple layers of filters for different things because the things you buy at like Target or Walmart, they have like one filter, right? Which is fine, but that's not getting the VOCs. That's just not getting it. It might be getting the fur from your pet when they shake off. It'll take that layer of fluff that flew off of them. It might be taking some of like the pollen from the air if you leave your window open, but it's not taking the stuff that we're really talking about. The stuff that is forever in your home that just hangs in your air that you're not familiar with, that you don't even know it's there. They are an investment, but they really do last a long time. And they have different sizes for different square feet, which I think is very strategic, right? So if you have one condo, a small condo or apartment, you might be able to get one that's exactly the ideal size for that whole space. You don't need
Yeah.
a lot of space for that. And it's going to help you sleep better, function better in your home. It's going to keep those VOCs from being in the air, lingering as much as they are. It might not be 100% elimination, but for these high quality air purifiers, it's a very high level of air purifying. It really
Mm-hmm.
is. So don't just fall for just any of them. Do your research, check the square footage of how many you need for your home and what levels. Like I have of the Air Doctors, I have 4 of them, and I bought them little by little. They had a sale where like I bought like, and this is not advertising or sponsored at all. Like this is just me sharing my experience. Even though Air Doctor, I'd love a sponsorship. I bought like 3 at one time because they had like a set, right? Like basically on sale, 30% off the whole set. And then I was able to pay it because they do allow the whole like pay an installment kind of thing. So I paid for them over a year. And I don't even think I paid interest. If I did, it was minimal. So it just made sense to like do that. And then for the room where the litter box is, I was using like a Target one and it just wasn't keeping up. So then this summer, I bought another one to put in that room and I've been so happy with them. And just now, I've had it for the first set I've had for a year, and just now I'm having to replace the filters. So another thing is you can vacuum the external filter and it'll alert you when you get when you need to
Mm-hmm.
get a replacement filter. And then one of the things that I love about it is they're automatic, so they're not always running. And so you don't have to worry about it scaring your pet. Like when my husband uses his aftershave, which is very smelly, I don't know if it's toxic smelly or essential oil smelly, but it's smelly. I hear it ramp up, right?
Wow.
And
Yeah.
it's in our bedroom, and he's in the bathroom, and I hear it ramp up. If I use something on my hair, like dry shampoo, even if it's like, a powdered one that's good, or like one of the better ones, which I've not found one that's really truly like benign, I hear it kick up, but it won't run all night where you're like hearing that hum unless you want to. It has that feature too. So I think investing in something like that is a really great way, like investing in food and investing in an air purifier. For me, if I had to be like, do these two things, I'll say it to my top three, and then I want you to give us your top three. I'll say food and water, like best food you can afford, fresh fruit, even if it's only 20% of the bowl. Don't spray your yard with anything if you can avoid it. If mosquitoes are an issue, then I'm giving you the okay. But there is no reason why you should be spraying for like weeds, please. And
Yeah.
then the other thing would be your indoor air quality. Like focusing on that would be huge.
Yeah. I don't know that I necessarily disagree with any of that. I mean, obviously, I have other things, but those are pretty big ones.
And they're pretty easy I feel like they're pretty easy if you were to say, okay, like I'm in 2025, I'm going to do better just for the food.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll invest in a garden, in like one of these indoor gardens.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I will grow parsley and I will put some parsley in my dog's food.
Yeah.
Um, which one's the good cilantro is the good detoxer, right? So
Cilantro. Yeah.
maybe I will grow some cilantro for the family. And if it doesn't taste like soap to you, then hopefully it won't taste like soap to your pets. I think that herbs are a really good way to like add stuff. That was one of the talks that we did. I just went to Blog Pause, and on Saturday night it was Blog Pause. It was like a TED Talk style presentation where like I think it was 9 speakers shared a TED Talk, but in the pet industry. So it was not run by TED at all, but it was run by Blog Pause, and one of the co-founders of Blog Pause is a coach trainer that's worked with TED Talks.
Okay.
So she's bringing that style to the pet industry, and it was fantastic. And Hannah was a presenter that talked about like 5 herbs and what they do for our pets, and like how easy it is to really just add something like that to your pet's diet if
Mm-hmm.
they'll take it, and even for us, it's like she said, you go to a restaurant, there's like a little sprig of parsley on the plate and everybody just moves it away. My grandfather, born in 1922 in Spain, he would eat it and
Yeah.
he would look at us and be like, why are you not eating that? That's so good for you.
Yeah.
Because they knew before modern medicine, and I mean 1922 is still pretty long time ago, they knew that these herbs were helpful. So like even if it's just that, or what if people don't have like a water filtration system that they can trust, what do you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, getting a water filtration system in your home is pretty expensive. I think you can get like countertop ones that still are an investment, but probably worth it and probably can do like the afterpay or a firm or something like that where you're paying over time without interest.
Hmm.
Um, for me, I have just been buying water. I get like a water delivery service, but it's I mean, something you have to keep up with, which is a pain in the butt.
Yeah, yeah, for
For
sure. It's
sure.
not always convenient, but
Hmm.
if you're, but the good thing about like food and water is that I think you've said this a lot, is that like when you start paying attention to your pets, food and water, you kind of start paying attention to
Yep.
yours. And Kara, when we did my Halloween episode, Kara from Raw Paw Adventures, she says that she keeps like, like the bottoms of her broccoli and the extra, herbs and carrot when she's, peeling carrots or whatever, she keeps that and she uses it to give to her pets. And if you start using like the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen as a guide, then you can add these fresh foods that didn't cost you anything to your pet's bowl, and you're also eating better foods, right? You're choosing
Yeah.
better. Like I have a few things that I remember off the top of my head, like avocados don't have to be organic, and I do wash them I buy conventional, and I do wash them with like my very high quality dish soap, a little drop, and I wash it. But like if something's organic, I'll just rinse it.
Hmm.
And it's not, it doesn't, I'm trusting that even if it has a little dirt in it, we're healthy enough to deal with it. Sure, it has bacteria, but everything does. So the better you do with your own stuff, the better you can do with your pets. And adding 20% of your bowl is really not that hard.
Yeah.
Like my sister's here watching, like now, living here for now. And she was, I took her dog. And so she's seeing the treats I give. And they're like, freeze dried raw, like chicken hearts and beef livers and cod skins and things. And she's like, wow, that like sure beats the €2 treat that I used to give him in Spain. And I'm like, oh God. Look. And because treats are not even like a key part of the diet, like invest in some good ones and maybe just do one a day.
Yeah.
But instead of like the four you give one good one. And same for you, right? Like instead of going to like get a nasty, cupcake with all sorts of horrible things, maybe on Saturday make a dozen cupcakes and freeze them so that you have a high quality cupcake in the fridge. Like these kinds of things they're kind of like so obvious, but we're so busy that we forget just like
Yeah.
that we like quality over quantity
Hmm.
can really make a big difference, especially in food.
Well, yeah, and it's like, and if we look at it that way, where, like, I think a lot of, thank
Now
you.
it's
I
Kim's
think a
turn.
lot, it's chemistry. I think a lot of people are starting to realize that the more you eat at home, the healthier you are, and that kind of is a generalization, regardless of what you're eating at home, as long as you're making the food yourself. Because yes, there are things I still don't want you to use, like seed oils and all of that jazz, but you're still going to be healthier. And if you take that same principle and apply it to your pets, like, wow, instead of feeding them, and that's actually one of the things that I really resonated with me this year, that really stuck with me this year, is that for so long I have been talking about eating fresh food, eating, um, raw food diets, all of the things. And with Rodney Habib and Dr. Karen Becker, with everything they have done, they have realized that it so much is in the wording that we use. And so they say minimally processed versus ultra processed. And if we look at it that way, there isn't a doctor on the planet, much less a veterinarian, who, well, maybe a veterinarian, I don't know. We definitely have a lot of work to do there. But there certainly isn't a human doctor on the planet that would try to argue that an ultra processed food is better for you than a minimally processed food. So looking at it that way and just saying, okay, how can I adjust my pet's food to where I'm doing the same thing? I'm making it for them at home. Like, that would be ideal. And if you don't have the time, if you don't have the bandwidth to do something like that, how can I bring something that is as close to that as possible into my home to feed my pet? And that,
Yeah.
in so many instances, so many people will go to the veterinarian and the vet will say, well, your dog has stage 1 kidney disease, or they're a little chunky, or I'm trying to think of something else. Like they're because of this, then let's switch them to this other ultra processed food that's a prescription diet, right? Or a veterinary diet, whatever they call it, depending on the brand. And the reality is, if you just switch from that ultra processed food to a minimally processed food, more often than not, you're going to completely mitigate whatever issue was going on in your pet to begin with. Um, and that's just, it's so powerful.
It really
It's
is. And we
so
can't
powerful.
and we can't deny that there are also links when we're wrapping up soon, so we're not going to be able to get into
Yeah.
this in detail, but there are links for, so obesity, for example, causes all sorts of comorbidities, right? So like the joint pain, the heart issues,
Mm.
the liver issues, the kidney issues, the everything issues, right? Like just a general taxing on the body.
Yeah.
And usually they're obese because they're eating crappy food, not because they're eating
Too much.
wonderfully,
Yeah.
lean, high quality meats. Okay. So think about what they're using to treat these conditions and the possibility that those could cause an increased risk in cancer. We all see this
Yeah.
in our medications. When we read those inserts for everything, what you get at the pharmacy, it says, very rare risk. Usually there are very rare risks, but you add this rare risk and that rare risk and that rare risk and say that fast 4 times, and now that rare risk is not as rare anymore because you're taxing the body on top of the already,
Mm.
taxed organs within the body. So
Yeah.
by reducing the risk of obesity and reducing the need for these medications that inevitably may have a risk factor for cancer, we're preventing even further. So like, and that's for all of us, right? Like that's for all of us.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why the Ozempics and Wegovy's are getting so popular. And it's not because people want to be skinny. It's because the risk of these medications is lower than all the 50 medications people are taking because they're obese, right? So like, it's really, when it comes down to it, it's like we are medicating already super taxed bodies with different things for different organs instead of making sure that we're watching our weight, feeding our bodies properly, using, like you said, seasonal foods, fresh foods, eating at home. If you were eating Doritos I mean, wasn't it Super Size Me and how sick he got?
Oh, yeah.
And like
I
the
mean,
quality of a lot of the pet food we're feeding is that quality pet food. So just think about how much you can even save at the vet by investing in a better quality pet food because you're not paying for all these meds that are inevitably increasing your pet's risk of cancer. So it's like a whole full circle thing. And I say this knowing that my kids could be eating better. My husband certainly could be eating better, which we have conversations about this often. And I personally could be eating better. And, as we get further away from the pandemic, I think we're all in a better place to take care of ourselves. I think the pandemic was a really big trauma. I know it was really difficult for me to even prioritize my health when like the world felt so out of control. But I feel like it's a good time, especially now at the end of the year, to first of all watch what we're doing around the holidays because it's a time to like get really crazy and kind of forget, make purchases without thinking about them, receive gifts that like of candles and just light it, not thinking about it, and try to be more mindful this time of year about what really we want to bring into our homes, what we don't, our priorities as far as our food for ourselves and for our pets, routines, sleep, and not letting like the chaos of the season kind of make the situation that's already probably not ideal even worse. So that when it comes to like 2025, you don't need to do like a huge like revamp and all these like New Year's resolutions because you fell off the wagon so hard.
yeah.
Just a reminder. And like October was Pet Obesity Week, and I had said that we should talk about pet obesity, and I think we kind of just like covered them both together really well. But 60% of pets in the US are obese or overweight. That is the statistic. And the higher the weight, the higher the risk of cancer. So those
Mhm.
two things cannot be denied.
Yeah. Well, and I just, for us and for our pets, like if we really just shift the way we think about things, like a headache is not an Advil deficiency, a obesity is not an Ozempic deficiency, cancer is not a chemotherapy deficiency. Like these are all lifestyle induced issues that our current sick care system throws medications at without addressing food and lifestyle. So if we really look at, okay, this is what is wrong, and instead of saying, what can I give, how about what needs to change? Like, that is such a huge mindset shift that literally can completely change the trajectory of your life or your pet's
Yeah,
life.
for sure. I went to an endocrinologist recently, and back to the Ozempic thing, she said that, the person's insurance wouldn't cover it because she wasn't obese enough. So the person went on a cruise and got obese enough. It was 10
No.
pounds. It was 10 pounds. So she just needed to start at a certain level. And when you think about that, you think, oh my God, why would you do that to yourself, right? Why would you put yourself at greater risk about these things? But we're doing that every day. Like, not to that extent, right? Like, we're not willingly putting on pounds, but with every choice we make, we are willingly putting on pounds, right? Like,
Yeah.
with every candle we light,
Yeah.
we are willingly taking a risk
Yeah.
that is not necessary.
Yeah.
So when I heard that, I thought, okay, that's extreme, but it reminded me that that's a decision somebody made that's just as impactful as the decisions I make to cook a healthy meal for my children instead of telling my husband pass by McDonald's, right? Like that is an equally important decision because every time you say, let's do fast food instead of cooking at home, we're doing the same thing that person did. We're choosing the less beneficial option, the riskier option, the less wholesome option. We're doing the same thing, not at that scale. So that helped me kind of reframe things like this is, of course, not me gaining 10 pounds to get on a medication, but maybe it's me saying instead of trying a medication, I'll try the lifestyle change first. And then if I do it to the best of my ability and I still can't get there, then I will take the medication. My husband, I don't like to talk about people's medical stuff, but like he was on statins at some point, and I'm like, did you try improving your diet? Right?
Yeah.
Like it's so easy to forget that these medications have side effects. Like statins kill your kidneys. So which one's more important, your heart or your kidneys? Right? Like these are the choices we're really making. And this is not just for ourselves, but it's also for our pets. Like when I'm giving them, letting them eat that pizza off of the table because I didn't get there in time for my kids to like pick it up, that, that's the choice I'm making is
Yeah.
like it's hurtful for you. It's going to upset your
Yeah.
stomach. It's not good for you. Papa John's is not formulated for dogs, nor is it formulated for humans. So like those little decisions we make every day really add up. So I'm not anti-medication at all. When you need a medication and there's people who are
Mhm.
on, these, and I don't want to demonize Ozempic or anything like that, but like those people who
Well,
absolutely need it, who have genetic, like who have issues with pancreas issues that really truly make it so that they don't produce enough, like, insulin resistance is, I think 80% of the population has insulin resistance at some level. There are people that can't lifestyle change their way out of that insulin resistance. So those people are great. But one of the things that we can't continue to do is throw medication at something without remembering the risk factors associated with that, right? Like it's
well,
not one or the other, it's
it
both. You get both.
is. It is. And to that point, yes. So like you have a type 1 diabetic, they have to have insulin to survive.
Right.
Okay. But then again, you turn around and look at it a different way and say that exactly right there shows you that we have a sick care system and not a healthcare system, because they need it to live. They don't, like, there is no lifestyle, like you were just saying, there is no lifestyle factor that can adjust that. They have to have it. And yet, what, it's $1,000, $2,000 a month that they have to spend on it? Like, that just shows you exactly where our sick care system, where the pharmaceutical companies actually care, because that GLP-1, whatever, Ozempic, Wegovy, whatever it is, yeah, it was introduced for a reason, and it has benefits. And I have certain doctors that I listen to that, like, if you microdose it, then it actually can be beneficial. However, also lifestyle factors, eating a lot of red meat, eating healthy,
Yeah.
eating a lot of protein, you're going to get GLP-1s from eating that too. So,
Yeah.
like, they find that it does XYZ, so they're going to mass market it to all these people. I promise you that informed consent is not there. That informed consent letting you know that, by the way, when you're on this medication, you still need to be making these lifestyle changes.
Oh, it
Otherwise,
forces you to. So yeah,
muscle
like I
wasting
have
and
friends who are on it, and I have friends who are on it because they are obese, and obesity is an illness, right? Like it's not necessarily like as easy as just stop eating. I will never say that, and I will never shame anybody who struggles with their weight. And they are like really happy with the way they feel and how it supports their bodies, but they can't eat fatty foods anymore. They cannot drink alcohol anymore. Because it
mm-hmm.
makes them so ill.
Yeah.
So it is a medication that really is, and this is like completely off topic with pet cancer, but like it's a medication that forces you to change your lifestyle, whether you like it or not. The question comes of when you get off of it, what happens, right? And like that's obviously where we see if it was a band-aid or if it really did do what it promised to do.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to our pets, like I said, when I was talking to Kara on my Halloween episode, they're not making a peanut butter and bacon sandwich in the middle of the night. Like they don't have a way to get into the fridge. They shouldn't have a way to get into their kibble. They should not have like free range, raw meat outside. You shouldn't be like letting them kill a rabbit or a chicken every day. So if they don't have the ability to make themselves those peanut butter and bacon sandwiches and you get to control it, and it's so easy to control, like compared to children where they go to school and they like have parties, and like I go to a birthday party and like they come home with like a blue mouth, and here I was trying to control like the artificial colors and flavors, and like impossible, right?
Yeah.
But with our pets, we have this blessing where for the most part, unless maybe you're like sharing custody of them or you travel a lot and you leave them, with a pet sitter, but even then with a pet sitter, if it's a professional pet sitter, they should be feeding what you provide, and they should be maintaining the same routines that you have at home. Obviously, if the pet sitter is the pet's grandma, that's a whole other conversation that, it is tough to like tell, loved ones to not give the pet a burger, a piece of their burger, or French fries,
Yeah.
like when they're pet sitting them for you. But those are that's what you're supposed to be thinking about when you choose your pet sitter, and when you choose who you leave them with, and making sure that you like control it, because it is controllable. Sometimes we can't control the time we get home and whether or not we're able to walk our pets every day, right? Like last night, even if I wanted to walk a dog in like El Paso it was like a hurricane over here. So like I
Yeah.
can't control that exercise that day, but I can control what they had for dinner,
Yeah.
and I can control what we do the next day, and I can control what quality of food I'm buying, and I
Mm-hmm.
can maybe control how much I spend at the vet based on that food. So like thinking about it from the perspective that it is possible is really nice. Like it's a really nice thing, because when as a parent to humans, it's really, really discouraging when I see what they're eating at school and what they're eating at their friends' houses or at parties, and I'm like, I have to remind myself that even though they eat maybe really poorly on Saturdays, like if they ate really well Monday through Thursday, like that, even just one meal, like the morning and the evening, like that's 8 meals in a 7-day period that were really high quality. So that's where I'm focusing,
Mm-hmm.
because that is as much as I can control. But again, with our pets, like we have the control. We have the control of the toxins we bring into our home, and we have the control of who we hire to spray our yards and what veterinarian we choose. And so let's leverage that control to like
Yeah.
prevent these risk factors. And again, like if you get a cancer diagnosis, it doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It doesn't mean that, you could have prevented it. That is not it. Like I know people who are 100% super natural and healthy and stuff, and they're unfortunately their kids get a cancer diagnosis, and they're like, we did everything right. We fed whole foods. There is no way you can control, because we don't know the level of toxicity of like one exposure,
Yeah.
right? Like we
Yeah.
have no idea if that one time that like that child went to one place and something had just been treated with something is what set off this terrible, sequence of events.
Yeah.
We have no idea. We don't understand cancer enough or well enough yet. We don't understand the toxins well enough yet. So please don't ever feel guilty, but do make the efforts that you can. Commit today to doing one thing, whether it's improve their food or clean your air or call your spray, your condo or the management company, and find out what they're spraying, and like find out, how to support your pet. If you have no control over what they spray at your
Mm-hmm.
apartment complex or your condo community, but find out, if your pet will eat cilantro to support them. I don't know, like do something that kind of is an actionable way of supporting your pet's body in a world that really is set up for illness.
It is. And like that, I had so many notes here because like that kind of would have led me into autophagy and how we can support our bodies in that process, and our dogs' bodies in that process. But we're already an hour and 17 minutes
Yeah,
in. So
we are. But at least I feel like the most important thing I feel for pet parents is not always like the science of like autophagy, but like the things that they can do, because no, almost knowing is almost worse, right? Like for me, knowing is almost worse. Like I understand autophagy and all that stuff, and I sometimes I can't think about it, because I just feel like if I think about it and we have a bad week, then I'm just like obsessing over the fact that our bodies are in such a bad place. And I like, if we want to do a part two, I'm totally down for it. So you can give us the science, but don't get overwhelmed for this, because I really do think it's like one of those topics that you can get really discouraged. Like I know so many people and pets that have died of cancer, and cancer is such a devastating diagnosis. And like in Blog Pause, one of the speakers has had cancer 3 times, like 3 times. And
wow.
her talk was so inspiring, because she was kind of like reminding herself to slow down and like be like a cat and take a nap in the sun. And her message was great, but I'm looking at this person so lively, so strong, and she's had cancer 3 times. So it's so discouraging that I feel like we have to flip it and be like, no, it's not discouraging. I'm going to make this one step. I'm going to,
Yeah.
then once I get there, I'm going to take the second step.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The only thing I
Well,
can do.
I mean, and if I just to close out for me, I guess I'll close out with what I said at the very beginning with Dr. Kendra Pope saying that 90 to 95% is lifestyle. So start there. Like don't go too crazy and think like there's absolutely nothing I can do, so don't do anything. Like
Yeah, no.
understand that it is mostly lifestyle, and that is actually really empowering. Like understand that you don't have complete control, but you do have a lot of control. So do what you can. Start somewhere, start small and build on that.
Yes. And if you want to watch something as it gets colder, I really like the documentary. I think it's called Stink, and it talks a lot about those scents,
Uh,
the scents that we
uh,
don't realize are so dangerous. And the big chem, the chemical companies, how they get away with murder
yeah,
in many ways
yeah.
because of the way that laws are set up that make them not have to reveal what's in certain things. So, yeah, the more we know, the better. And so, if you want to do the cancer part 2 next week, we can definitely do that. So, we can talk about kind of like now that we've done the risk factors, we can talk about
Yeah.
how it actually works and like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes.
make
Yeah.
sense of it all.
That, I mean, I'm down.
You've already got
It's such
your
a
notes.
big,
I don't want you to not use them.
I know it's such a big topic and it can be so overwhelming for people. And I get it. Like, because I am that person that, like, if I don't, I try to, I want to eat in a 6 hour window every day, 3 weeks out of the month at least. And like, if I even stretch that to 8 or 10 hours, I feel bad. Like, that's what's in my head. I'm like, I'm not
And I do think that
giving my,
fasting is a really great thing for
mhm.
pets
Yep.
and an easy thing. Obviously, it's very easy for us. So, like, I think there's a ton of value in discussing that
It's free.
because,
It's
yeah, because
free.
really, when we talk about like easy to start today, you can literally start fasting your pet, and maybe not a ton of time, maybe not 4 days, but like you can start fasting your pet
Yeah, no.
pretty quickly. They might not like it, but it is good for them. So yeah, let's do that next week. So
Okay.
everybody who wants to do more about pet cancer awareness, because it is Pet Cancer Awareness Month in November, let's talk about it next week and with a part 2.
All right.
Yay!
Sounds good to me.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining us. If you have any comments or questions that you want us to discuss next week, since we're already on this topic,
Yeah.
please feel free to do that so we can address them next week or bring your questions to our conversation.
Yes, please. We love, love, love to get your comments and questions. So, all right, guys, have a fabulous week, please.
Yes.
And we'll see you next Monday.
Bye, everybody. Thank
Bye.
you.